Charlie, good evening. Are you late again? Charlie, are you there? Charlie was Larry's, and we can't hear you.
I have them. Okay.
Oh, there he is.
I was just trying to make it a little bit nervous, you know.
Well, you were way late last week. I managed to survive without you, but somehow we did. We made it to episode 20, Charlie.
20. Okay.
I was trying to look up last week.
Cheers.
Sort of how many episodes? Oh yeah, I do have my gin and tonic here.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out last week. So what is sort of the average length of podcasts? How many episodes an average podcast goes? I'm going to say 20 is over the average that most podcasts last. I'm going to say that's over it.
It's actually 21 with our pilot. 21.
Yeah, we are on 21. Yeah. So happy episode 20 of the best Florida rugby podcast in the world.
Exactly.
The only Florida rugby podcast in the world. But thanks for joining us this evening for episode 20. We're coming to you on a Monday night, which I think we'll try to do from now on, Charlie. I know I look like I'm in a hostage situation here, but I like this dark background. It bounces off your bright background nicely.
And it works good for the people walking behind you, you know.
Yeah, listen, I try to bring the entertainment, not just me, my crew here behind me in and out. The good thing is, if they're behind me, that means they're not watching, so I can say things about them.
Good.
But yes, episode 20 of Talking Florida Rugby Occasionally. My name is Ross Davenport, referee, fatback, referee assigner, general. Well, I'm half Scottish today. Remember that, Charlie. I'm half Scottish. My mom was from Scotland. May she rest in peace. So this week I am half Scottish, 50.1% Scottish. It has nothing to do with the results from the weekend. The result
very convenient.
Which we'll discuss in a little bit.
Yeah.
I just want to remind people that I am half Scottish. So you need to congratulate me on my victory at Twickenham.
I do. It was pretty amazing.
We'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We were going to discuss Boca Tridents, but we'll get to that in a minute because that game didn't happen. That was going to be our game of the week, but it didn't happen. Obviously, want to recognize we recognized our contributors last week, but anybody that's donated to the show, we greatly appreciate your help. If you'd like to donate, Charlie has the information at the bottom there. Charlie does far more work than I do with this podcast when it comes to getting videos together, doing the editing, producing. I just basically show up and chat and talk. Something I do get paid to do elsewhere about soccer, and formerly about rugby when MLR. Used to have a contract with our company that doesn't exist anymore. The contract doesn't exist, I should say. But we'll get to that in a minute with our MLR schedule being redone and re-released this past week. But yeah, as you can see at the bottom there, anything you can contribute is great. It doesn't have to be anything major. $1, $5, $10. We'd love to have a sponsor, which we do some episodes. There's Kenny Handley with a comment. Congratulations to Wales. You can post his comment as well, Charlie, there.
Oh, sorry.
I think I can do it. Yeah, there we go. Kenny was congratulating me on my Scottish victory. Of course, Wales also won. If Wales had lost, he probably wouldn't have been congratulating me. Wales, who were awful in the fall, showed up and beat Ireland. We'll perhaps not. Well, I have to mention they were down to 14 men, Ireland, for most of that game. But it was a fun game to watch. I actually missed 80% of the England game. But back to what we were talking about. If you want to help out the podcast, you can support us at the bottom there, rugbyfl.com/GoFundMe or Venmo at RugbyFL, or you can also hire Charlie and his cohorts to videotape your games. That also, in a roundabout way, helps the pod. So
it does.
If you need some videotaping assistance, Charlie is the best in the game, and his crew is as well, as they've been trained properly.
Let me just say, Ross, it is really, to be honest, it is really important, to get the contributions, going, because we did start off pretty well the first 2 weeks, and then, this is a lot of work. It's not the cost of the hosting and that kind of stuff, because that is not that much, but it is really a lot of work, and you have, it's I'll probably so just reaching out to the clubs. It's a small amount for a club to contribute, and it helps us really a lot. And we really want to keep this going and getting better, week to week, because there's really I think today we're going to be showing some improvements in terms of stuff we can put on on the podcast, but we really need people to step up. For the clubs I think it's easier, but any rich rugby guy who wants to fund us forever, hey, welcome.
We'd love to. Yeah, listen, we're here to promote the game, and specifically the game in Florida and the clubs that are involved. We have a chock-full episode today. I know that Charlie just keeps adding more and more people to the show, and I said we're going to be here all night, Charlie. But I am.
Yeah, let's get going. Let's get going.
The studio. So I've got Ryan Forston from SoFlo waiting in the wings. I've got the Key Biscayne guys, and if you go too long, I will definitely kick you out. So short and sweet today. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, we'd be more than grateful. I keep telling Charlie to get graphics together for our We Effed Up section, but I'm sure we effed something. Well, you effed up last week by being late.
That was a major
Charlie
thing.
apologizes again for being late last week. That was really. I'm sure we made other f ups on the way, and I've forgotten them and forgot to add them to the rundown which we created. But let's get to our 3 quick things. Let's knock those out, Charlie, so we can get on to the real meat. The meat of the episode, which is the recap of this week's action. So our game of the week this week was going to be Boca versus Miami Tridents. Now, Boca had some COVID issues, and so the game had to be canceled. Obviously, the 2 best D2 clubs over the last 5 to 10 years or so. I think Tridents, we said, have won 4 in a row. Boca, I think, won before that. But the 2 strongest clubs, number-wise, I think, as well as title-wise over the last few years. We were all looking forward to that matchup, but somebody got COVID and things were canceled. I'm not going to go into details. Some people out there know the details. Hopefully, Boca will see the field on Saturday against Palm Beach, which should be another super game that we're looking forward to. Palm Beach already upset the Tridents in the first week. One of the 2 D3 over D2 upsets we've seen this season. We're going to talk about those a little later as well. So hopefully Boca will come up with negative tests this week. They won't get to practice, as far as I know, until they see those negative tests. So they may go into that Palm Beach game, with almost 2 weeks of no rugby or minimal rugby. They did practice on Thursday, which perhaps was a questionable decision, but I'm not going to go into that either. So hopefully they all test negative this week, and we can get a nice game against Palm Beach against Boca, which I think is at Boca, if I'm correct, right, Charlie? We can't hear you again. So
I turn off my mic. Well, the thing is, then you complain about my keyboard. So
I'd rather hear your keyboard than your mouth moving and nothing coming out of it. So
that's going to be a great rugby day, because Boca has the festival there and the high school is playing. So it's an all-day rugby day. So it should be awesome.
So hopefully Boca will be promoting that on their social media. So check that out and get out there and support some local rugby safely with masks on, even on the sideline, and keep 6 feet apart. We can still enjoy rugby with masks on and 6 feet apart. So Boca Tridents cancel. I haven't heard if they're moving that match yet. I was hearing rumors that Tridents were trying to get a forfeit out of it. We'll see what the union ends up deciding. But I think we'd all like to see that game being played. I think they do meet each other again later in the season, right, Charlie?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So we'll see that matchup regardless. So let's move on to our second thing. So MLR, for those that don't know, obviously we don't have an MLR team here yet. Charlie, I asked you if you'd heard anything recently about the Miami MLR bid, which before the pandemic was sort of going strong. I know they had some site visits here down in South Florida for potential stadium sites before the pandemic hit, obviously with some support from the French money guys. But I've not heard anything regarding MLR Miami 2022 of late. So hopefully things can get going again soon with that. I doubt at this point 2022 is a realistic option, considering we're right around the corner from 2021. Yeah. As you can see there, Charlie is showing us the full schedule. I have heard that on May 15th, a Florida high school all-star team will be playing against the Georgia high school all-star team before the Rugby ATL game. I think it's against the Free Jacks, who feature Mitch Wilson, former Orlando youth star. So hopefully that game it will take place. I know they had to wait to see, because they were supposed to play Dallas Jackals that day on May 15th in Atlanta. But of course, Dallas Jackals are the reason why the MLR schedule had to get redone, because they decided after signing players that they weren't going to play in 2021. So they're going to play in 2022 instead. So the schedule's been redone. You can check that out at MLR or Major League.rugby, excuse me. I'm check out the full schedule there. And hopefully some promo about that May 15th game will be out here in the coming weeks. We had a quiet week of Florida news and USA news, but obviously we'll get to our third quick thing here, Charlie, if you can flip the graphic. It was the first week of the Six Nations. Charlie, did you get to watch much?
I got to watch the best, which was the 10 minutes of the Wales against Ireland game.
10 minutes?
Yeah, the last 10. It's all you need to watch.
Well, that was a bizarre. Maybe we can talk about that ending in a minute, but let's get back to the first game. France kicked the living bejesus out of Italy.
Yeah.
I told the wife I was going to put a bet on France to win the Grand Slam, and she sort of questioned my sanity when I told her that. But here's the end to that game where my beloved Scotland knocked off the favourites to win the whole thing, England. I'm going to deny that I was in Japan for the World Cup final last October, 2 Octobers ago, excuse me. I was there just to watch the spectacle. I was not cheering for England that day in Tokyo, Charlie. I was just there to watch the spectacle. I'm at 51% Scottish today. Sorry, 50.1% Scottish. But seriously, great win for Scotland. England looked awful. Eddie Jones has had a few games like this where England have just looked terrible. I really, who I really feel for, Charlie, is the Italians, who England get to play this coming Saturday.
Oh yeah,
and you have to think, as you see Louis Rees-Zammit, we'll get to that game in a second, scoring a beautiful try to beat Ireland. But yeah, England with a disappointing loss to Scotland, they'll surely paste Italy.
Look at that.
Take out their frustrations this weekend. But yeah, this game, as you see there, Billy Burns putting his head down. Listen, this is the kind of thing we see in Florida rugby, going for touch and missing. It was a critical error by Billy Burns. Obviously, Johnny Sexton wouldn't have done. By the way, Charlie, I want to say how good the videos look now. I know StreamYard, who host our podcast, made a little change.
Yeah.
And allowed us to play these videos in the pod, which they look way better now than they ever have. So good stuff there. But yeah, Wales, obviously an early red card to Omani for a nasty clear out to the face, which was well deserved, and then a win in the end by Wales. Beautiful try in the corner by Louis Rees-Zammit, who's on my fantasy team, got me 15 points there. I don't know how the rest of my fantasy team did, but nice start for Wales, who struggled in the fall. Again, took advantage of that extra man. But yeah, great to see live rugby back in the US. You can check out all the Six Nations games on Peacock, who are not sponsoring me, Peacock Premium, or you can watch them tape delayed on NBC Sports Network.
And I always post the highlights on my Facebook page.
Charlie posts all the highlights on his Facebook page, so if you miss. And for those that bitch and complain about, you went on social media and spoiled the result. Listen, it's $5 a month for Peacock Premium. If you can't be asked to pay $5 a month to watch live Six Nations rugby, then you deserve to have the result spoiled. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's good.
So I didn't have a chance to post this week because I was coaching my son's soccer team to a 6th straight defeat. So I did not get to watch most of the England-Scotland game. Instead, I was yelling at 13-year-old kids about how useless they are at soccer. But that's another story for another day. All right. That's it for 3 quick things. Let's get to why we're really here, Charlie. And that's to talk about the action from this past Saturday in Florida rugby. That will be February 6th. I hear some noise in the background. I'm not sure what Charlie's playing. That's all right. I just want to make sure I'm not hearing rain in my house or in my earphones. So, well, let's do this, Charlie. Let's go run down the results first. Then we'll get to our games of the week because I want everybody to be mentioned that we need to mention. I know I kind of highlighted some certain results from the past week, which I think I may have deleted off the rundown. But anyway. Charlie's going to pull up our results from this past weekend. So here we go. We're going to go from the top. Obviously, that first game was cancelled. Naples, with a solid 54-3 win. Now, Sarasota coming off a win over the Pellies. This was obviously a D2, one of the stronger D2 teams over the last 2 decades or so, or decade, we shall say. Naples spanking Sarasota 54-3. Tampa knock off the Pelicans in the Battle of the Bay 36-20. Now, this one was an interesting result, Charlie. Brevard, who you and I talked about a couple of weeks ago, we saw their lineup, and it was a strong lineup, and they came out in probably one of the lowest scoring games.
Yeah.
The next game was also low scoring. It was 7-6 Brevard over Orlando.
They looked like England and Scotland.
They did. I'm sure it was, well, we didn't get highlights of this game. Again, guys, if you didn't submit highlights to us, please submit highlights or photos, and we'll gladly show them on the pod. Send them in with who scored the tries, and we can go over the highlights. That's what this is really for, is to go over highlights some of the games. I know Charlie posts as many as he can. but he can't be everywhere. He only has 3 cameras, all 3 of which he left at home on Saturday and had to Uber to the field, which another thing we have to discuss, Charlie. But that's all I'm going to mention about that. The cameras Ubered themselves to the fields on Saturday. Jacksonville knocked off Gainesville 10-0. So we'll get to SoFlo here. Their first game of this, first 15s game in their existence. We'll talk to Ryan Forston from SoFlo in a little bit here. They lost 43-0 to Tridents, but it was Tridents-B, who may have had a few. I didn't see the lineup that Tridents had, but I assume they may have thrown in a couple of A guys, considering they didn't play at least for a half or so.
A lot of them.
So a respectable result for SoFlo. They got a team out there. They got to be refereed by the amazing Cisco Lopez, who was in town from college in Atlanta before he goes back up north and starts MLR preseason stuff. He'll be an AR. You'll see him on TV this year if you watch. And there's the link if you want to send us pictures or videos, rugbyfl.com/upload. It's as easy as that. So it's great to see Cisco make a brief appearance here. He was trying not to let me find out that he was here and assign him games, but I always find out through third-party sources that he's in town. So we gave him that game before he left back up for Atlanta, where he goes to school at Emory. Ave Maria. This was a shocking result, Charlie. I figured Ave Maria might give Naples a run. We don't know much about Ave Maria. They're kind of out there in the middle of nowhere in their own little town that's built around the church there and the college. They've had years where they've had teams. They haven't had teams at 57-12 over Naples B. I'm not sure who turned out for Naples B, but regardless, that's still a solid result for the Papists. Do you have that picture handy, Charlie, or can we get to that in a minute?
We'll show it later.
We'll get to the Papists posted a very interesting photo.
I got a few pictures to show at the end, some interesting pictures. So
I don't know if it was after the win, but Daytona knocked off Lakeland 24-5 in D4 action. Big thanks to Alfredo Lopez, who changed venues at the last minute to ref that one. Another D4 action, Orlando B defeated Indian River handily. We had our first women's game of the year. Orlando knocked off Indian River 73-0. Indian River, I think they had only a couple of players sipped a couple of weeks ago, Charlie. It didn't look like they were going to play.
Oh, they had a little more.
Together at the last minute. And I'll give them credit for getting a team together and going over Orlando, and they got a little waxed. But listen, I'm glad they had a team out there. That's what all that matters. All that matters in this time and age. Biscayne 48, Boca Raton U19 had 19. Nice win there for Biscayne. We'll look at highlights of that game in a second. Okapi knocked off Cape 25-0. I think we have highlights of that too, don't we, Charlie?
Yes.
Jack's defending state champs knocked off Tampa on the road 29-17.
We also have some highlights, but we'll show them later, okay?
We have highlights of that one too. We just got those last minute, I think Charlie said.
They were sent by Jacksonville.
Naples U19s, not the Bears. So the U19 Hammerheads defeated Sarasota 22-19. And the last result there was Tallahassee U23, the team formerly known as Florida State University, knocked off the team formerly known as University of Central Florida 29-26. So there are all your results from this weekend. Now, we were going to obviously talk to Tridents and Boca's coaches, but that's not going to happen. We're going to push that back to another week because that game obviously didn't end up happening due to COVID. I want to mention the referees for doing a great job of sending scores into Charlie.
Amazing.
Try to supply Charlie's number to all the referees so they can get the results up there as soon as they can on rugbyfl.com.
We had them posted like at 7 p.m. all the games -1 because we had that referee that came from South Carolina that we didn't have his info. Wow, that was pretty amazing.
I'll get him to come around. Well, your son was at that game, so he should have been keeping score as well.
No, not that one. No.
Oh, you're talking about Jacksonville?
Yeah, up there.
Yeah, from Georgia. A big thanks to Brandon Castro. I'm sure he's not watching this podcast, but Brandon came down from Georgia to help us out. We have a bit of a ref shortage at the moment due to various reasons. And Brandon came down from Georgia and graciously reffed that game in Jacks. So let's get to our first guests of this evening, Charlie. We're going to bring them in now, yes?
Yes.
From Key Biscayne. I don't know if they still like to be called the Rats. Sebastian, do you still like to be called the Rats? Uh-oh.
He's muted. Let me unmute.
I can't hear him. Sebastian's muted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
There he is.
Sure, we are the Rugby Rats. So
you are still the Rugby Rats. Okay.
Yes.
I know some team. We got the Bears wrong last week, so I want to make sure. we can still call you the Rats. And Charlie, your graphic is blocking the name of our player that's joined us this evening, so I can't see his name.
Oh man, you complain about everything, man. Damn.
Lucas Cavalieri from Key Biscayne U19s is here. So before we get to chat to them, let's run the highlights, Charlie, of this game. A nice win. Boca were one of the sort of favorite teams I was hearing. And obviously this game was played in wonderful conditions in Key Biscayne, as you can see from these highlights. Obviously Boca in red and black and Key Biscayne in the blue, being refereed by Grant Haynes, a new referee down here from the Carolinas. Boca drew first blood and made a nice drop. Listen, drop goals in dry conditions are not easy, and that was a beautiful drop kick in the rain here. As Key Biscayne came right back though, got it wide here with a little try in the corner. And maybe Sebastian can tell us who's scoring these tries. Sebastian, who's scoring there?
Is it Alejo Pisoni, Lucas?
Yes, that was Alejo's try.
That was Alejo. Now, this number 28, he impressed me. Tell me a bit about this number 28, Sebastian. When I watched these highlights, he was a very impressive player, good kicker. What's his name and what position is he playing?
That is Lucas.
Yes, that would
be Lucas Cavalieri.
I'm giving Lucas credit. Lucas, what grade are you in?
Hey, I'm in 12th grade. I'm a senior.
You're a senior. I couldn't tell it was you because of the rain in your hair. I can't tell your height from this video, but no. Are you playing 10?
Yes.
Good service there again get the assist on this try, I think.
Yes, sir.
And as you can hear the horns beeping in the background, I assume that's parents watching from the parking lot.
That was awesome.
Did not want to brave the rain. I shouldn't really give them credit for being. Yeah. How long have you been playing, Lucas?
I've been playing for 10 years, always for the Rugby Rats. So I've been playing, for quite a long time. And Rugby Rats is like the reason, like the player I am today is all because of Rugby Rats.
Awesome. How many tries did you get in this game? There's another one from you there.
I believe I got only one try this game.
Oh, just that one there. But how many conversions? You obviously got a
Look at those kicks, man. Look at those kicks. This guy, man. You don't see this thing in D2 or anywhere. It's these guys, man, these kickers. Same one for Okapi. I have to tell you, man.
This was a bit of a harsh call here. I actually went back and slowed this one down, but the call was the call. You got to go with the referee. And nice quick tap by Key Biscayne here. The Boca weren't back 10. And then you convert the points here again, Lucas. Nice kick there. As you can see, the field was holding up reasonably well despite the weather.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Sebastian about how he thought this game went overall. I mean, nice try there in the corner. Good ball. Listen, Key Biscayne, sometimes they don't have the biggest players, but they always have the best technical ball skills. A lot of them grew up with the ball in their hand. Where are your parents from, Lucas? Where's your parents?
My parents both from Argentina.
So Argentina, yeah. A lot of this team with Argentinian background, especially with the parents, a lot of them grew up with rugby balls in their hand. And as a result, some of the best hand coordination and skills you'll see in the passing in the state. It's a good tackle there, but nice offload and a score in the corner for Key Biscayne as the Boca player is not happy about something, but the try was given and another conversion from the touchline. Did you make this one?
You did.
Yes, you did. Some great kicking from Lucas. Lucas, you must have had at least double-digit points in this. A little chip through. We've all been here, right? This kid.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Number 10, you just got to jump on that. Oh, man, we've all been there. Chasing that ball back. Once it hits your hands once, it's going to be bubbling all over the place, and you got a feel for the kid there. But a nice opportunistic try by Key Biscayne, and the conversion again by Lucas Cavalieri. And that's your final score there, 48-19. Which is a lot of points considering the conditions there in Key Biscayne. I know that pitch has its moments. I know it can get cut up a little bit. It looked like it held on there at the church, right? It's next to a church, I think, or a school.
Yes.
That's right. Next to St. Agnes. Yeah.
Listen, land is expensive in Key Biscayne, so we're lucky we even have a pitch on the little island. So now we're joined by Sebastian Bustos, rapper from the Key Biscayne Rugby Rats and Lucas. Now, Sebastian, talk a little bit through that game on Saturday. Boca, always traditionally a bigger side, normally have some big bodies that have played football. And in those conditions, they obviously got off to a good start, scored the first try, and you guys bounced back nicely there and pick up the win. Talk a little bit about the game for us.
Yes, it was a game in which we knew we were facing a physical Boca side, and under the conditions, it was going to be forwards game for Boca typically. So we started struggling to slow down their forwards and to bring them down so that we could put pressure when they opened the ball. I think we're very proud. The coaches were very proud after the game that the team itself found the way to win this game, playing through the sides, and you saw a number of tries through the wings. So our proposal is usually to play with the backs because we're never the biggest team. But the team found a way to stop the forwards, recover the ball through pressure, and then kicking downwards, which is what you do with the wet conditions, and play a little bit more of open rugby, not too far away because long passes are tough in the wet conditions. But we were able to turn things around through the backs.
Yeah, it's obviously a bit. I know from having refereed down there, it's not the widest of fields either, which I think sometimes is not great for you guys because you like to get that ball wide. Obviously, Biscayne has had some success over I think perhaps the first youth rugby team. I remember back in the day, you guys were practicing and playing as a team even before the existence of the FYRU. Obviously, the history of Biscayne being founded a lot by the South Americans and the Europeans in town there in Biscayne. So it's great to see you. You were telling us before the pod, Sebastian, that you guys have just reached a historic number in regards of total players. Yes.
Last week we reached our 200th player from age 4 to age 18. We still don't have a senior team. That's another next step for us. But for the first time we have 200 players at the Biscayne Rugby Rats. When you consider 11 years ago we had 10 players, it's a big growth for us. Really, we're very happy, very proud of this.
And so, yes, you go from sort of U5s all the way up to U19s. Sebastian, what is your position as U19? Just U19's head coach, or are you involved elsewhere on the board as well?
I'm part of the high school coaching staff. We train with the under 16s and under 19s together. Okay. Because we have the chance to play against each other or to work together for scrums and for the line. So there's a group of 7 to 8 coaches that coach the high school division, and I'm a part of that.
Awesome stuff. And I know in the past, the 19s team has struggled with overall numbers. I think you were saying before the podcast that you're up 30 to 35 now.
Yes, it's a generation like Lucas and maybe 1 or 2 years younger that have been growing together, playing since under 6. So as I said, maybe we're not the biggest team, but these are guys who have been playing for some time, playing together. So right now we're good in numbers in the under 19. We're struggling a lot more with the under 16, but we're very happy that we could form the team and then present 2 divisions so the kids could play against players their age.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was talking to some Cape Pirates players, coaching staff today, and they were saying their numbers, across the board are down because of COVID. So to see those numbers coming through in U19 is awesome. Now we just need to find some props, Seabass. We need to find there's got to be some bigger boys in Biscayne. It has to be somewhere.
Yes, or somewhere close, but we cannot find them in Biscayne.
If you're listening to this podcast and you weigh more than 200 pounds, you're automatically going to start at prop for Biscayne. I'm telling you now.
I'll buy you a pizza if you come.
Athletically. But no, it's great to see how Biscayne are doing. I know you guys had a great season last year. I'm trying to remember, maybe Charlie remembers where the U19s finished last year. I think they got to the semifinals at least, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right. And we went. We played at the Ruggerfest in North Carolina with the under 17s, and the team won that tournament as well. So it was a great season for us.
Awesome stuff. Well, let's talk to our fly half here, who's number 28 in those highlights you just watched. Lucas Cavalieri, you're in 12th grade. So you said you've been playing rugby. When did you start playing for the Rugby Rats? You said back in 2000. When did you move to America? Were you born here?
Oh yeah, I was born here. My parents are both Argentinian, but I was born here. So my first introduction to rugby was with the Rugby Rats, probably when I was, I say 7-8 years old, and I've been playing for the club since.
Awesome stuff. Now, did either of your parents play rugby?
Yeah, my dad played rugby, and then all of my uncles played rugby in Argentina. And I've always wanted to go back to Argentina to play rugby, but it's difficult. Like they have like whenever I visit, I try to play with some friends to practice with their teams because I know the level of rugby there is different from here, but it's very difficult. There's like a lot of paperwork to sign, but hopefully one day I'll be able to play there as well.
Awesome stuff. So how does this year's Key Biscayne team compared to the last couple of years? How long have you been playing U19s? Just the last 2 years?
No, I've been playing U19 for the past 4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. We've struggled a lot with numbers, and I'm very happy that this year and last year as well, we were able to have, enough players to have an entire team to never have to, like, before during games, we'd always worry, oh, do we have enough players? And, this year, the numbers that we're having at practices is honestly incredible. And a lot of the reason for our success, especially against Boca, was our new players. We have 3 new players that have never touched a rugby ball in their life.
Awesome.
Started training with us 4 or 5 months ago. And, these players are just as dedicated to the team, just as dedicated to rugby as anyone else. And, even last, like Friday before the game, one of our forwards, new player, it was going to be his first game. He texted us and he's like, let's go practice a little bit before the game. I want to practice the pause. I want to practice tackling. So I honestly, the dedication that we have at this team, especially compared to previous years, it's a blessing. And I'm very thankful for it.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. Obviously, hopefully, I know some of the teams already down here have dealt with a bit of the COVID. I know you guys had to deal with it with some quarantining the previous week, where I think your game got cancelled that first week, and it was obviously moved to this week. But a great way to start the season. Hopefully, everybody stays healthy. Now, you got Cape coming up this weekend. Did you send anybody to a copy to scout them this weekend, Sebas?
Well, there's the highlights at least that we could see, and
yes.
And we see again that's true. So everybody's checking out Rugby in Florida for the highlights of your next team, and we see a very physical team with very big players. So Okapi ended up beating them, but it looks like it was a very tough team, very tough match.
Yeah, you got them coming up, and then a couple of weeks off with Rugga Fest in between, and then a game against Wellington. Obviously, one of the perennial betters clubs in the youth side of things, as Charlie shows us some highlights from some other youth games. And then you finish off the season. You don't have a kind finish to the season, guys. You play at Okapi, which is obviously always one of the favorite matchups in South Florida, and then host Cardinal Gibbons, who I think have been in 3 straight state finals, I think, if I remember correctly. They won a couple and then lost to Jacksonville last week. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun end to the season. Where do you see your goals this year, Lucas, as a team? I think you said this is probably the strongest team you've seen, so I assume state championships.
Yeah, no, I've been for the past 4 years, we've gotten very close to state championships. I remember the last time we lost in the semifinals to Jacksonville by 3 points, and it's for a lot of us, it's our last year, and I think we do have the team to win states this year. Although we don't have necessarily like the size in comparison to the other teams, though thanks to our coaches, thanks to our physical trainer Alvaro, we have a lot of endurance, and the way we play with our hands, like the way we move the ball, I think is the advantage that we have. And at least against Boca, it was a little complicated with the rain. So first half we were dropping balls, because of how wet it was and it was slippery. But overall, I think the attitude in this team, the determination, we're a bunch of physically, we're more small than the other teams, probably in strength wise too, but at least the tackling last weekend was incredible from every player, from the smallest on the pitch to the largest. And I think it's all in that determination, that courage, that aggression that we play with. And I'm hoping, and I think that can take us to the state finals.
Awesome stuff. Now, look, I'm looking at you right now. How did we get that black eye on that eye, Lucas? Tell us the story there.
That was during the game, first half. To be completely honest, I'm not sure how it got there. I guess like the excitement of the moment, the excitement of the game. I just didn't realize it until during halftime. But, it's all fine.
Good stuff. Now, obviously after this season, where are you looking at rugby past this season yet?
Yes. I'm applying to colleges. I applied to 15 colleges total, all Division I rugby. So, and, communicating with coaches and everything. So no matter where I end up, I surely intend to continue playing rugby, and hopefully after college as well. That's the goal for now.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time joining us this evening. Congratulations on that first win of the season. I'm sure we'll see you on down the road here. I expect Biscayne to be up there. I know, listen, always one of my favorite teams to ref just because of the knowledge of the game and the way they move the ball. Charlie, you got any closing remarks for the Rats here?
No, it's always such a nice. I get to tape most of their games, and to be honest, it's one of my favorite things to do because it's such a nice rugby to watch. Compared to other games, it's really a joy, and these guys have all the rugby values right in place, I think, and always. So it's always an awesome rugby day. This week, well, now these guys, because of COVID, now they're no churrasco, So, but other than that, it's always an awesome experience, and to watch little kids, 6-year-olds, they have they're like ants, all running around, and it's really an amazing program. I think they have a lot to contribute to Florida rugby. As we were talking before the program started with Sebastian, he was telling me, they need to be more integrated to the rest of the state. I don't know, Sebastian, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yes, I think it has to do a little bit with how the club started, with parents playing with their kids in the park rather than coaching. And we grew as such, as parents coaching their kids for the most part. So we are not that big in terms of organization infrastructure. It's more of a Saturday morning thing for a lot of people. So yes, of course, I think we have a lot of work to do in terms of being a more active part in the Florida rugby community. So yes, that's something that we're tackling right now. We're participating more. Zoom has helped a lot, rather than driving 4 hours for a meeting. But I think it's part of our homework, and as we grow as a team, we'll get more and more integrated.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is the fruits of the labor when you see guys like Lucas that have been playing for 11 years, since the start of this program. This is why you start at that age group, because when they get to the age of 16 and 17, they have a clue of what they're doing and can look like. I mean, listen, Lucas looked amazing on those highlights. I can't say I have to watch the whole game at some point this week, and I do have a connection with USA U18's coach Brendan Keane, Lucas. So I may have to throw your name in the mix there and get you out to a camp this summer. We'll see.
Lucas, where are you going to college?
Hey, I'm not sure yet. So I get my results back by April. So by April I'll know. But all colleges I applied to are Division I. So hopefully I'll be playing.
Stay here, please. Come on. Stay here.
I think he may have better opportunities outside of the state, Charlie, but that may offend some people. But I know, listen, Lindenwood Life, I'm sure there's some schools out there that could do with a fly half like Lucas. So check those highlights out if you're watching this from any of those big schools, and reach out to him if you want to get this kid in your team. Again, Sebastian, Lucas, appreciate you spending the time with us. Good luck the rest of the way, and I'm sure we'll chat later this season.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Good chat there with a club that does things right, Charlie. It's not all about wins. It's about developing rugby culture and developing rugby talent into young men. And I think that club has done a great job of it. I know, they're kind of isolated a little bit down there on the Keys, but, they're close enough to everybody. And they got a good road trip this weekend to Cape, which is where, the camaraderie and the culture of rugby is really born on road trips like that. So hopefully they have a safe trip up to Cocoa Beach this weekend, and we'll see if they come away with a victory next week.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we had a team. We talked to some Ocala people. Was that last week or the week before, Charlie? It was last week, right? We talked to Nick Hatcher and
yes, last week.
It feels like more than a week ago, but Ocala had their first game last weekend. And this club we're going to talk about now had their first game ever of 15s this past weekend. And that is SoFlo RFC. Charlie, do you have some highlights to play?
Yes. You want to get Ryan on? Or
yeah, let's bring Ryan Forston in from SoFlo RFC.
Because this guy likes to talk, so maybe. Hi, Ryan.
We see half your face, Ryan.
He likes to do that, man. He likes to do that.
We had this issue with him beforehand. Now, Ryan, I will say in advance, I was at work today. I did listen to you talk for 50 minutes on the Chasing Kangaroos Rugby League podcast. If anybody out there wants to really get into details, like real in-depth details about SoFlo RFC and their mission and getting into rugby league and the women's side of things, check out the Chasing Kangaroos Rugby League podcast. You can find that on any major podcast platform. I listened to Ryan talk to their host for 50 minutes today. So I've heard Ryan talk all we need to talk about today. But let's check out the highlights, first of all, from SoFlo RFC's first ever 15s game down at Athlete Range Park there in Miami, which they look like they haven't cut the grass there in about 3 weeks, but that's all right. Although I'm not sure how that affected the SoFlo RFC speed, as the Tridents here in black and blue against SoFlo RFC in pink. Now, obviously, Ryan wasn't too many SoFlo highlights in this package, unfortunately. But it's just great to see you guys out on the field.
Oh, we're just enjoying the process. We were just glad that the first game got off the ground, and we knew we were going to go in and make mistakes, but we just needed to know where the mistakes were, and this showed a lot. It showed a lot. We played to the end, so I'm proud of my boys. We hustled hard. It's just mental mistakes that comes with adolescence in the game.
For sure. Now, obviously, again, I listened to you talk today, so I know a little about the history of this program and where it intends to go. Why don't you tell the guys and gals listening, exactly how this SoFlo RFC team came about and where you see yourself going?
Stop typing, man.
Well, SoFlo was thought about a while ago. It was in
2019, right? Set aside.
I met a bunch of. Oh, that's when it became officially a business. I would say I've been pondering upon it since, not the actual name, but the concept of what I wanted to do since I learned how to play at Georgia Southern. We want to infiltrate the neighborhoods of South Florida, mostly the Tri-Counties, Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County, and get this overflowing pool of athletes into rugby. There's a lot of talent out here, and that's no doubt about it, especially when it comes to American football. So instead of you ending your career, you can just use the talents that you learned within your last sport and bring them over to rugby, empty the tank. You know what I mean? Network as well. It's not just about the sport. I fell in love with the culture because of the network opportunities. When I first came down here to play with the Miami Tridents, they brought me in. They showed me the do's and don'ts of a lot of things. They showed me a good time. Try to show everybody a good time. That's no doubt. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
But yeah, so I fell in love with that part of the culture as well. That was something way different from the American football culture. And so I want to get minorities really involved in that. And mostly the minorities that make up this colorful place.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you talked on the podcast, about Perry Baker being an example of a football player who converted his talents to rugby in a very successful way. And I obviously he's from the north end of Florida, but I assume you're trying to find the guys with the same sort of passion for the game as Perry Baker and trying to unearth some gems like him and put him on this team.
Well, yes, but I don't think I would probably find that passion. I think that passion would have to be ignited, and the only way it can be ignited is by fully submerging these people, these guys, these women as well, into the rugby culture. And they see the potential. They see what they can do with it. They see where they can fit in, not just from the athletic perspective, but from the business perspective.
Now, what do you see as the culture? What specifics of the rugby culture do you see as being, a great connection to the minorities of South Florida?
The fact that rugby is international. So you have your Argentinians who already play it, your Caribbeans who are people in the Caribbean who already play it. Like the first guy that I met that was on board with the program was Alex, who plays for Turks and Caicos and played with us at the Miami Tridents. Mm-hmm. And he's doing his thing with Flex Academy. down in Turks and Caicos. He's back home right now. He's trying to come back. Hopefully he comes back. He was a great asset to the team. And then we also got people. We have people from all different cultures. Like we have South Florida representatives, of course. We just recently had Lance from Ohio come down. He heard about us through Roots Rugby family.
Awesome.
And so Kyle Granby and the Roots fam, they sent them our way to give us a little help. And he's been a major asset since.
I will say, looking at these jerseys on these photos, I was concerned when you guys decided to go pink that we already have sort of Palm Beach and Okapi both wearing pink jerseys. But these jerseys are really cool. I love the backs with the setting sun and the palm trees. I know you mentioned in the podcast that I listened to today that you really try to sort of embody the South Florida community in those jerseys. Tell us a little bit about those jerseys and who designed those and how they came about.
My cousin designed those, to be honest.
Nice.
His name is Nadir. We've been talking a while. He's been doing a lot of background work, a lot of creative work, and we're trying to combine the two demographics. He's in the art scene. I'm in the sports scene. And you take from the NBA how fashion plays a big role, or how the athlete plays a big role on the fashion industry.
Yeah.
So he already has his own clothing line.
There's a great look there.
That's him right there. Matter of fact.
Oh, there you go.
And so it was really a backdrop we found somewhere else or on Google, and then he basically put his own color schemes on it. He edited some things out, put some things in. And also, if you look at the detail, there's an airplane in the middle of the shirt, as well as his signature towards the bottom.
Oh, wow.
Very detailed shirt. Very good quality. Now, the company in charge of actually producing the shirt is Real Deal Sports.
Okay.
Shout out to Steve.
No, they look super sharp out there. Now, so where you guys, I know you guys have been practicing in different locations and really trying to sort of embrace South Florida in all different areas. I refed you guys in a friendly a couple of Saturdays ago. You had some Fort Lauderdale guys join you. And where are you guys looking really to sort of center your location if you can get a consistent practice facility and games, just so people can, if anybody is interested in joining you guys to play, where would they look to come and join you guys?
See, that's a struggle.
I know you mentioned COVID. Yeah, big struggle with the cities.
We would like to be based off of I-95 at least. That's an easy access point.
Hey, Ryan, we can't see your face, man.
Oh, my bad,
What's up with that?
My bad.
We can hear.
You want to be famous? You want to be famous or what? You have to show your face, man.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, yeah, so we want to be in Broward, but we don't want to kind of impede on anybody else's territory. We're trying to find somewhere that's an easy access point for all the tri-counties, but at the same time, our own area, our own little section. We want everybody to coexist. There's enough space. There's enough athletes to have 10 more teams down here.
For sure.
If we get into the communities like we're supposed to. So I just want to find it. We just want to find the area where we can be in our own little space. Not bugging anybody, not trying to poach anyone's players or anything like that.
No, understandable. Now, before I get into the rugby league side of things, which is always an interesting discussion, tell us where people can find you guys if they want to get involved on the web as well as on the socials.
Well, you can find us at our website at SoFlowRFC.com. Our handles on social media are SoFlowRFC, and that's for Instagram and Twitter. If you want to find us on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel with some of our highlights and our games.
Awesome.
That's South Florida Rugby Football Club. And you can find us on Facebook at South Florida Rugby Football Club as well.
Awesome. So if what Ryan's talking about really resonates with you, reach out to them on any of those.
TikTok as well. So,
no, listen, everybody's got to be on TikTok, except me. I'm not on TikTok. My wife's on it enough to count for both of us. But if you're interested in reaching out to Ryan and you like what he's talking about and getting involved with SoFlo RFC, I'm sure he'd like to hear from you. So reach out to him on any of the social media aspects there or their website. Now, I was listening to this podcast, which is a rugby league podcast. Now, for those of you watching or listening that don't know what rugby league is, it's a terrible affliction on the sport of rugby. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I'm from the south end of England where we only play union, but the north end of England is a big rugby league haven with several teams. Obviously, Australia and New Zealand, as well as some of the island nations, love their rugby league. And Ryan, tell us a little bit about. I know we obviously have those of you that have been around for a few years may know about the Jacksonville Axemen, the original Florida rugby league side that my brother once played for. I actually played against him in my one ever rugby league game for the Philadelphia team that came down. Didn't have enough players. I went up to play my one and only ever rugby league game. It was a very interesting experience. I think we lost like 90-0. But Ryan's getting a rugby league team going down in here in South Florida, the South Florida Speed. So tell us a little bit about the Speed, when the season runs, how things are going to get going with that, Ryan.
Well, USARL wants to kick off with the Nines tournament in May. The date's still pending. It might be mid-May, towards the end of May, but the regular season will start in June.
Okay.
We're going to be playing in the South Conference, of course. We won't be playing Atlanta, sadly, this year. They try to mitigate the financial burden that'll be on a first-year team.
Gotcha.
Try to make it as comfortable as possible. But we'll be contending against some great athletes, I want to say. I saw some great athletes at the original clinic they had for us, and they hosted in Tampa in October.
Right.
Brought a total of 8 athletes. 2 of the athletes never played liquor rugby. That was their first game of rugby. But we, some athletes you may be familiar with that went, Tyree Allen, Lance Kavanaugh, Dietrich Beckham, well, everybody knows him as Diesel, Claudius Pubian, and I'm sorry if I didn't call your name, but yeah, so those guys were the main guys who showed up. First play of the game. Well, first of all, they had a clinic for us, and then they had a scrimmage at the end. So
nice.
We put all the skills together and show what we know. And the reason why we were at this clinic in the first place was so that some of the team owners can see how efficient we can adapt to the game, and if we can play, and if they would like us to play. First play of the game, Diesel takes someone out the game. Now I don't glorify taking someone out the game, but it just showed everyone else. It had the crowd on their feet and showed the coaches that we were not here to play. We were not here to play. Second occasion, there was Lance with an assist. Well, Lance with a pass to Claudius, and Claudius with an assist to Winger. I turned around and threw my thumbs up at the owners. I was just really promoting the team. I was on the sideline for a while because I didn't want to get in. I wanted to make sure I hyped my team up. Make sure the owners are paying attention, make sure the crowd is paying attention to what we're about to do. Surprisingly, Tyree didn't get in. They didn't choose him to get in at first. But once I brought it to coach's attention, Coach Rocher, who coaches USA Hawks as well,
yeah,
Tyree got in. And off the bat, first play, they kicked the ball to him or they passed it to him. It was one or the other. It was either kick or a pass. And you know how Tyree does. He takes it all the way home.
Is Tyree the one that played in the 10s? Who was the one that played down in Bermuda for the 10s?
Yes, sir. Tyree Allen is the one that played in the 10s.
Tyree, okay.
For the Miami Suns with Matt Core. And
that's right.
I think there's another Florida guy on the team as well. But
awesome stuff.
The second play, he takes it back down 75 meters. Iffy out call, but we're gonna go with what the ref said. But we brought a gift, and he just put the bow on top, sealed it up, and the owners gave us a thumbs up and said, "You'll be hearing from us in January. Come January, when the AGM comes around, they voted us in unanimously, all teams."
Good stuff, mate. Well, I think rugby league is going to be a great option. It doesn't conflict with the union schedule. Again, it starts in May when the union season is over for most people. Listen, not everybody likes sevens. I think having a rugby league team down here is going to be awesome. I think we're up to 4 or 5 teams now in Florida with Jacksonville, Tampa, I think Lakeland has a team as well as the team down in South Florida, down in the Naples area. So 5 total teams coming from one for many years shows how popular rugby league is. So if you're interested in perhaps playing rugby league this offseason, obviously we haven't played a whole ton of union over the last 12 months or so. So I'm sure there'll be some people out there dying to just keep playing the contact side of things it'll be 13 aside as opposed to 15 aside. But for many people, it's a game that may appeal to certain, especially the football players, I think, just because of the way after a tackle, everybody kind of resets. And I think it really shows the natural talent of some of the athletes we have down here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rugby league thing comes out, Ryan. I'm excited that you guys are taking this by the horns and really running with it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Ryan. And Ruggerfest coming up on February 20th. I hear SoFlo is entering a team.
We are there. We've entered a team.
Excellent. So Ruggerfest, 10 aside for the first time ever. So I think SoFlo is going to be one of those teams. I remember you mentioned on the Rugby League podcast, which if anybody wants to check it out, it's called Chasing Kangaroos, available on all major podcast platforms. You can hear Ryan talk for over 45 minutes about his passion for rugby and the club and his plans for the future with SoFlo RFC. But I think you're one of those teams that nobody's going to want to play against. They don't mind playing for, but they're not going to want to play against. And I think you'll have a real impact at Ruggerfest with the 10-a-side side of things coming up. And there's Charlie, you might be spoiling some news here, Charlie. with some potential pool. Anyway, let's just look at the teams that are coming in on Ruggerfest. These pools may well change.
We've
got some serious teams coming into Fort Lauderdale in less than 2 weeks with Life, Green Bay, the Dead Pelicans, which is a team from California featuring some Cal guys and some Belmont Shore guys. You've got the Stormers, which is obviously the Florida 7, the sort of all-star team. You've got Boca with 2 teams entered. You've got Maggots coming down from the Montana area, Connecticut Gray. Who knows what to think about those? But these pools may well change. But you can at least take a look at some of the teams. We're up to 20 teams now for Ruggerfest, which is awesome. So we hope to see many of you out there on February 20th at Mills Pond Park. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us this evening, and hopefully you guys keep growing in numbers and growing in experience over this union season. I look forward to – I'm not saying I'm going to referee any league stuff, but I'm definitely going to come out and check you guys out once you guys start playing this summer.
Ryan, when is your next game? Let people know when is your next game.
It's this weekend against Okapi.
Okay. Pink versus Pink.
The Pink Derby.
Now, actually, Okapi men are going to use the new jerseys, the black ones with the lightning thing.
Oh, fancy.
That's good. All
right, Ryan. Well, awesome stuff. Now, the shirts look great. The logo's great, and the future of this team is great. I look forward to seeing you guys out on the pitch soon.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, cheers, Ryan.
I look forward to seeing you. Thank you for featuring us.
Bye-bye.
Of course.
Bye.
Good stuff there with that. As you said, Charlie, Ryan can talk. He'll talk rugby all day with you if you want to.
Yeah.
Guys, he's been playing since he's in college and loves to promote that team, and for good reason. They're providing a great opportunity for many of the the minority communities in South Florida to get out there on the rugby field. Come and check them out on February 20th. So 2 Saturdays from today out at Ruggerfest. Come and chat with Ryan if you're interested at Mills Pond.
It's always really nice to see somebody like pushing so hard as he does, to bring more rugby here to Florida.
Listen,
so
more rugby the better.
Well.
Yeah, I echo Thor's comments there. Thanks to Ryan for coming on. I'm sure we'll talk to him again later this season at some point. As Charlie posted in the comments on both YouTube and Facebook, if you want to come on and talk with us, have anything to bring up. I know the Daytona coach had some comment fun over the last couple of weeks and I tried to get him on with us, but he said he would get thrown out of the union if he came on and really said what he really wanted to say about things. But if anybody wants to come on and have anything to discuss, please jump on. Get yourself a pair of headphones so we don't have any echo issues, and join us here on the TFR or TFRO.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that about. You were talking about Mike Gomez.
I was.
Was you? So
last week, maybe.
No. About somebody being afraid to be kicked off the FRU.
Oh no, the Daytona coach.
Daytona. Okay, sorry.
I can't remember his name. He had a lot to say in our comments a couple of weeks ago.
Funny that you mentioned that because I was talking to somebody here and I was.
Stephen. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Hugh Hart. He's always welcome to come on and chat if he wants to chat, but he's concerned he may be kicked out of the union forever if he does that. But anybody's welcome to jump on and come and chat with us, give us some updates on their club any week.
I think we should be able to talk about anything about what is going on in rugby, as long as you just, talk in a civilized manner. You don't have to be insulting anybody. We can talk about anything. It's not a problem.
Yeah, the only person I'm allowed to insult on this podcast is you, Charlie.
That is fine. That's why I pay you.
You were on. You do. You were on time this week, so I'll give you that.
Well, hopefully I'm going to pay you.
So again, if anybody wants to jump on, Charlie's posted the link on Facebook and YouTube.
I do want to.
Go ahead, Charlie.
I do want to show a couple of highlights that were sent to us.
Yes.
Some,
I forgot about
pictures because it's starting to work. Teams are getting more interested in sending us stuff, which is great. We just have to get more organized. We were going to have the Jacksonville coach today of the U19s, but he had already. You have some domestic problems right there.
The wife wants, babe, you're welcome to go in the kitchen anytime.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
As long as we'll welcome you to come in the kitchen anytime. But Amelia's already walked by at least once.
What's for dinner?
Stephen just posted. He has to consult his lawyer before he's appeared. He's a very opinionated guy, Stephen. As those of you that will have seen his comments on a recent post regarding the Orlando game. But hopefully Stephen can consult his lawyer, but perhaps before next week, and join us. But Charlie, let's get to those highlights, which it was of Jacksonville U19s with their defeat against Tampa, I think you said?
Yes, correct.
I have not seen these yet. They came in last minute. So I assume that Jacksonville in white, or is that Tampa in white?
Tampa's in white.
Tampa in white, Jacksonville in the black. Nice.
Jacksonville has some very fast kids on the wing.
Well, I seem to remember them. It's part of the reason they won the state title. They got some serious athletes up there in Jacksonville. Yeah. That team's only really been going for a couple of years now, 3 or 4 years, and they've really turned that program into a threat. And
they got him trained to run towards the camera always. Watch, here he comes again, which is pretty. Yeah, here comes.
They're running it out from their own 5-meter line there. That's some serious pace on the outside by that gentleman whose name I would love to know, but I don't.
Yeah, well, I spoke with Aaron Church, who is the coach, and he could not come in today because he already had some Zoom stuff that he needs to attend, but he will come on later at some other point and talk about what's going on in Jacksonville, which seems to be a lot.
Listen, defending state champions.
Aaron
clearly knows what he's doing. We hope to have him on in the next week or so. There's some big boys on this Tampa team too. Jeez. Being refereed by
who's that referee?
This game was where in Tampa, right? So that's Alfredo.
In Tampa. Oh, sorry. Okay. I screwed me up. Yes.
Let's see. Oh no, it was Jason. Sorry, Jason Scheissel was refereeing that game. One of our new referees, who's really jumped in sort of from the coaching side of things and is getting involved in refereeing. I didn't recognize him with his long hair. That was the problem. He looked a little like Alfredo with the long hair. But listen, send us your highlights. Either send them to Charlie directly, or
no, not directly. Please use the link because if not, it's a mess.
Listen, not everybody is technically inclined to be able to use a Dropbox, Charlie. But if you can,
it's not really. It doesn't really. It's a very simple thing. You just get to a screen and you just click on it and you upload the files.
This is the guy that decided to upgrade his internet 15 minutes before the show last week. So if you're gonna listen to Charlie about technical stuff, take it with a grain of salt. But no, seriously, rugbyfl.com/upload. Upload photos, upload your video. And we'll
now
feature them on our next episode. So listen, we had how many games last weekend?
Like 15?
15 games. We had highlights from what? 3 or 4?
3. Well, yeah, I did like 4 of them. Listen, so now I have some pictures from Naples against Sarasota, I believe.
And the men?
Well, they look men, but
those look like men. I think that's the
they are men. I thought they were the high school kids, and I said, "Damn, these
That
guys
guy's
are
not in
playing."
high school. That guy bet. The guy I just saw on the screen better not be claiming he's playing in high school.
Well, listen, in my defense, this came in after the podcast started, okay?
Listen, awesome. Listen, we got some great shots here from Naples. There's Tyler Piggott trying to make a tackle on a second row, something we don't see very often.
He's trying to poach, I think, the ball.
Listen, that man, when that man has the ball in his hand, he's a dangerous threat, but he's not known for tackling second rows. But Naples, with an impressive victory over Sarasota in their barbarian style. There's Kai Martinovic refereeing, one of our best young referees, and waiting for Ty Pye to throw it in there at the scrum. Those new Naples jerseys looking sharp. And again, Naples coming away with a big victory. Now, this was a home game for Naples. Is that the pitch with the pickleball courts next to it? I think it is.
I'm not sure.
There's Ty Pye on the run.
He has a face of like, oh, I'm going to score this try, right?
He's pretty good. He's pretty good at flag football too. I keep seeing him post flag football stuff on Facebook during the off season, but he's back playing for Naples now. One of the best number 9s in the state.
I have to apologize because I didn't get the name of the photographer, which I always like to acknowledge, because this came in like, as I said, once the podcast was started.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
So let's we'll give him some credit next week, perhaps. But some awesome action photos there.
Yeah.
Because the dirt of every Florida field's got to have some dirt when it's dry, because that's all we have here is dirt. We don't really have mud.
Well, these guys were lucky because we had so much rain, man, here. Okay,
We did. We had a lot of rain on the southeast coast last weekend, but let's Charlie, let's pull up next week's schedule first.
Let's talk a little bit to Gomez here. We have somebody who came in.
Oh, Gomez jumped in. Gomez.
Yeah, hey, wake up. Wake
What's
up.
going on, guys?
Well, welcome to Tifro. How are we doing on this
welcome back.
How are we doing on this fine Monday evening?
Pretty good. We just got back from training, so I just showered up and hopped on.
Okay, where's your video? From last week.
Uploading right now.
Oh, too late.
Uploading
man.
right now.
Too late.
I know, Charlie. I'm sorry.
We gave you an extra day this week. Come on.
Big
I know,
win.
but the Super Bowl is on Sunday. I'm a butcher at Publix. I was extremely busy after Saturday.
Oh, Gomez has the meats. Everybody, if you're in the Tallahassee area and want to get some good meat, Gomez, where is this Publix you work at in Tallahassee?
Way on the north side of town, almost in Havana.
So if you're in South Georgia, head to Gomez's Publix in Tallahassee and get yourself some good meats.
Quality beef.
As much as I can talk about meat all day, Gomez, let's talk about this victory over the team formerly known as UCF. It was a nice victory on the road for you guys.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was an incredible match. Extremely back and forth. Tallahassee again with a 14-point deficit in the halftime, and we actually it's pretty funny. The two U23 standouts that I mentioned last week, Ryan Falzo and Bear Bollinger, both went out in the first 20 minutes. One with a head knock, the other with a broken nose, and we had two subs. So absolutely very impressed with the boys that played. Pretty much all of them went all 80 minutes, and then to have the level head to be tied with 5 minutes to go and drive down the pitch and score a penalty right in front of the post in the last minute. It was absolutely thrilling to watch.
Awesome stuff, especially on the road against the team. One consistently over the last 10 years or so, one of the better programs collegiately in Florida. Now, you obviously bounced back nicely off that loss to FGCU in the first week. You got Tampa D4 coming up. Maybe perhaps looking to get to 2-1.
Well, that would be a 2-0 for the men's.
That's your D4 team. Sorry, what's the next game? Oh, so you come down and play Okapi on Rugby Fest weekend.
Yeah, the 20th.
So that'll be a good fun game. How are the numbers looking? Obviously, you said you only had 17 this past weekend.
Yeah. We had 7. Really, we had 16 because we borrowed Andres Gonzalez, a UCF alum, and he really helped us out. We were very thankful to have him. But that was just because you get those texts the day of the match, hours before the match. Hey, I can't make it.
Of course. Go to rugby.
Of course, yeah, right. We had 20. I'm sorry, we had 30 at training today.
Excellent.
So but again, we're really relying on those U23 bodies for the men's team. So I'd like to see an increase in numbers on our side, especially going into this Tampa weekend. And that Okabe weekend is going to be a real tough one for us. That's 2 sides. We got to bring down 30 guys to South Florida.
That's a long way to go. Yeah,
That's
and that's obviously that's Rugged Fest weekend too. So hopefully I have a referee available for you. I can't guarantee anything, but no.
Hey, maybe someone will test positive at training after Tampa or something.
Let's not even go there. Mike Gomez from Tallahassee Rugby and FSU. I appreciate you joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for keeping us updated with things going on there up in the grim north.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Cheers,
man.
Mike.
And please speed up the video thing next time, okay?
I know he needs to work on his internet speed. It looks like he's on dial-up. Right now.
He's pretty much.
He's pixelated as hell. Cheers, Mike. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
All right, Charlie.
That was actually our first guest, just jumping in. So a nice example. Anybody
exactly. Come in. Talk about your team.
A little bit.
Your team. Tell us how they're doing.
Oh, oh my God.
No,
not this one. No.
Bring Kenny in for 5 minutes. Kenny, you're getting 5 minutes. Look at this background. That's a pretty sharp background, Kenny.
Shirt. Well, look at his shirt. Oh, wow.
I'm gonna ignore the jersey.
I got nothing to add to this podcast. I just want to sit down.
Well, no, you do, because you refereed a great game this past weekend. Tell us a little bit about Bay Area against Krewe in the Battle of the Bay.
So that started off very controversially, actually, because we did have that issue whereby the Pelicans hadn't actually confirmed the game, so we were having that.
Yes, let's talk about that. If you're listening to this podcast and you're involved as a board member of a club, I want to watch that Josh Navidi pass again out the back of the hand. Oh, look at that, the man with the dreads. Anyway, great win for you guys. But listen, if you're a match secretary and watching this game, please confirm with your referee by Wednesday. We had an issue this week where Pelicans decided it was a good idea to forget that they needed a referee for this weekend. And didn't confirm with Kenny. But luckily, Kenny was nice enough to make the drive over from Orlando and still ref the game, even though they hadn't contacted him. But please contact your referee by Wednesday.
Yeah,
I don't know how many times I need to say that. But
fair, Ross, I spoke to the guys over there. I spoke to Alan, just before the game. And give him a piece of our mind from the referee's point of view, because there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes with the referees. We're not just magical, mystical things that just turn up, at the game. It needs to be confirmed. We do need to know what's going on. Some of us are traveling hundreds of miles to get to these games, so it is important, and but they had a valid reason. I'm not going to say it was an excuse or whatever. It was, it sounded plausible, why they knocked that one on, so. All
right, so hopefully, listen, so, I'll give you one strike. Just don't do it again.
Yeah, no grudges held, whatever, and we went into that game then. What a cracking game! Probably one of the best games I've been involved with in Florida.
Awesome.
It was fantastic. It was some hard hits. Two players went off, completely opened up their heads, from a collision. But it was from the intensity of the, the efforts that they were putting in, and nobody even looked at it like, that's foul play or that's dangerous or that, it was just, everybody was 100% heart, and they just smashed the hell out of each other. It was awesome. Game it was Tampa's game, most of it, to be honest. And then of course the Pelicans, they just clicked. They're going to be, if they can put that together for more than 15, 20 minutes, they're going to be a tasty team in this league. So it was really exciting. And you could see the sphincters on the Tampa boys were going, and it was but they realigned, they sorted themselves out, and then they pulled the game back, and they did win. But like you say, the game and the camaraderie afterwards, those Tampa boys, the Pelicans, the Tampa boys, all that area. I tell you what, they must be all from one, mother or whatever. I don't know. They're all brothers. They're amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, listen, they all know each other. They're obviously from a very close-knit community there in the Bay Area. And listen, those local derbies can get a little messy sometimes. But I appreciate you keeping that online and enjoying that game. Congratulations on the win over Ireland, by the way. Charlie was just showing some highlights of that victory.
We didn't deserve that win, in all honesty. I think as a Welsh supporter, more relief than we can gloat about anything. We had nothing to gloat about. We did score 2 decent tries. We did put a couple of phases together, but that was Ireland's game to lose, man. They just
I mean, especially the play at the end. But anyway, let's get back to Florida rugby.
Yeah,
I want to hear about you've been miking yourself up recently. I want to talk about this because some people don't know. Kenny recently has been miking himself up and putting a speaker on the sideline.
Yeah,
so people can hear what he's saying. Give us a little background behind that, Kenny.
Well, I'm part of my history, with my son Damien. He's a musician, so I did a lot of sound engineering for his early
That's
band,
right. Yeah,
and that kind of thing. So I got the system here that we use whenever we do games with ARs and stuff. And I thought, I know a way that I can link one of the off-field mics to a sound system.
Right.
And whatever I'm calling, even though I haven't got ARs on the field, it's still nice for the sideline to hear, what I'm calling.
For sure.
And why I'm giving advantage in certain parts of the game where it's like, there was a knock on, it's clearly called. The sideline can hear I'm calling advantage. Nobody's getting frustrated, and it's sort of it's just allowing people to understand more from the referee's perspective, and because we get a lot of referee comments here in Florida where we're not all on the same page, and we're all and it's true, we're at different levels. You got new guys coming in, we're maybe not as sharp as some of the more experienced guys. Sorry, I got a cat here.
I've heard about this cat. This is another thing I want to ask you about, but maybe we'll get to that another time.
Yeah. But so this is Gwen, and she hasn't come to a rugby match yet. But Owain, he comes to the sideline. Yeah. So anyway, that's another one. But no, like I say, I want to, I just wanted people to sort of get a feel from what we are seeing in the middle, and
that's awesome,
and how we're handling it, and a lot of people have said, from the sideline, they're like, that makes much more sense, I know everybody can't do it. I've got the gear and I got the background in it, so I'd be like, try it. I know it hasn't been done before. It's not something I suppose any league is going to take forward, but I just want to add a little bit of something to the games that people on the sideline get a better idea of what's going on, and just like you see on the TV, it's like, well, you heard the referee say to him, the ball is out, the ball is
exactly out,
or ruck, don't put your hands in, and suddenly then I'm calling hands in a ruck. So it just makes it more for everybody, No,
it's awesome stuff. It's, as I said, watching the Six Nations this weekend, you hear Barnes talking to the players. As Andrew, she did just go in her kitchen. I saw her behind me go in the kitchen briefly. But no, it's almost like seeing hearing Wayne Barnes talk on the broadcast on Peacock, and so that's an awesome thing you're doing for us, Kenny.
But it's like everything, like we started, the conversation, tonight. It's all about the communication, just let us know the games are on, we'll get the games on, we get the referees in the right place at the right times and so on, and then in the games, communicate with each other, with teams, one another, communicate with the refs, the coaches, and everything else. Communicate results back to Charlie and the league and everything. I mean, everything works then. Everything works. It's all about communication, and that's all I'm trying to do with the speaker system is just communicate that little bit extra to the support on the side, and or the coaches or whoever wants to listen in, and say, okay,
Yep.
I see what's being called.
Awesome stuff. Well, if you're lucky to get Kenny as a referee this season, you may get to hear the speaker on the sideline, hear what Kenny has to say, and also perhaps the captains when they come in to chat. Well, Kenny, appreciate you jumping in and joining us this evening. Don't be a stranger. Do it again. Charlie, you have any questions for Kenny? We can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. Can people talk back to you?
Yeah. Off the sidelines? No.
Yeah. Like no.
Well, they could.
F you.
They actually could if they go over to the machine and press talk, and then they actually can. But
that would be sort of
don't give him any ideas, Kenny. Don't give him any ideas.
I'll pull up the earpiece.
Hey,
man,
right, thanks.
Great to see you. Great to chat with you, buddy. It's been too long.
Yep, no problem. Good show. Thank you.
Nice. I like your shirt. I like your shirt.
Yeah, did I tell you we won this weekend? And we got Scotland next week. I know.
Scotland won too. My beloved Scotland also won this weekend.
I'm not looking forward to that. That's going to be a tough one.
Should be a good battle. Yeah, check out Six Nations again coming up this weekend. I think England, Italy's the early game on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then Scotland, Wales the late game on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, Scotland, Wales the second game, and then France and
Ireland on Sunday.
Ireland, yeah, on Sunday. Yeah, that's right.
That should be a good battle too. Well, cheers again, Kenny. Appreciate you coming and joining us.
Hey, peace to everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. So
that was a pleasant surprise. Yes, Charlie.
Oh yeah, that was great. So I just have to wrap it up. We I don't know if you want to talk about next week's games, and then
let's pull it up real quick. Let's talk about next week real quick. I know we have Boca Palm Beach, COVID permitting. We'll see if that game goes ahead. That's probably going to be one of the bigger games.
So let me just show you on my website because I have to promote it.
On this beautiful website, the best local rugby site in the United States.
I don't know if it's that beautiful, but it's very useful because you come here games by date. So we want to, and here we have the full schedule.
Pull up 13. Let's go down. Boca Palm Beach. That will be one of the best games of the weekend. There's no doubt about it. I'm going down the list here, just briefly looking. We have the Battle of the Pink, as you said, South Florida against Okapi. We got Gainesville hosting Brevard. Brevard obviously off to a nice start this season. We do have a women's game as well. Two teams playing their first game of the season, Jacksonville and Tampa. Key West hosting. I'm actually refereeing that game down in the Conch Republic. Key West hosting Toledo Celtics from Ohio. We also have some U19 matchups. See Key Biscayne going on a lengthy road trip up to Cape. See if they can bring the win back there. And obviously Boca, Wellington, always one of the most fun U19 matchups in the state.
So, Ross, if you're going to be refereeing that game at Key West, we want video, not so much of the game, but of the social, okay?
Of the social.
Because those can get pretty wild over there.
This is Key West we're talking about here. I'm not sure how much of that video will be okay for under 21s.
We'll make it a pay-per-view.
I'll definitely take some pictures. We are going on. Well, we're going on an hour and 25 minutes, Charlie. Do you have some quick photos to show us or videos of?
Yeah, I just sort of
our brief recap rundown, whatever we have left at the end of the nonsense here.
I just found some.
Oh yeah, the Ave Maria picture. Ave Maria on their scrum set. I'm not sure if this was after the victory, but recreating the crossing the Delaware photo. Amazing there with their coach in front. And listen, Ave Maria with an impressive showing. You're never sure what you're going to get out of Ave Maria, like a box of chocolates, being the small private school that they are. But they're one of the few schools actually representing themselves this year because of the COVID situation. But
the only thing missing in that picture is a rugby ball.
That's right.
But other than that,
there.
It's a pretty epic picture.
I do like that picture. What else we got, Charlie, before we get the hell out of here?
So we got this one that I don't know what's going on here, What's the name of this guy?
This is Trent Vesely, who's definitely older than me. Well, number 22 was trying to strip the ball, I think, but not the correct ball.
Exactly.
See, this is what happens. Listen, I see our viewership numbers dwindling here as we drag on, but this is the quality content we're here for, Charlie. The guy behind him, Doc. I'll go back 1 second to that one. You got Doc Brown, who seems like he's never going to retire on the left there in the headgear. the legendary scrum half from Daytona, as well as this guy who's looking at Doc like, "What the hell are you doing on the field? You should be retired." But Trent Vesely getting a handful from number 22. Hopefully the crown jewels are okay, Trent.
Yeah.
After that,
maybe we hear from him next week.
Hopefully.
It went.
This is what age group is this, Charlie?
I'm not sure if it's U12, because in these age groups you always have one monster, and then you have these like teeny weeny little kids, but they're like brave enough to try to stop the guy.
They're sticking their head in there and listen. This guy could be playing prop for the U19s. Seabass, get on this kid. But yeah, I remember when my brother played youth rugby. They had a kid that played for him that had to carry his birth certificate everywhere with him because nobody believed he was of age. And this kid looks like he's going to be one of those kids, but that's a future prop for Key Biscayne, no doubt about it. But respect to the Boca kids for trying to bring down the giant.
There's always one of these, right?
Yes.
And then this guy having fun here. Give me a second. This is actually
in the middle of a game, or is this? It is in the middle of a game. Because,
yeah, it is. So,
now Tristan from Boca, Tristan Gray is famous for taking ridiculous photos in breakdowns and grinning at the camera. But this is taking it to a new. Where's the ball at this point?
I think it's right behind his ass because the guy is picking it up.
Well, the Key Biscayne guy appears to be picking it up. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Who so initially? He's not clearly not done a great job of presenting the ball. If he was the ball carrier initially.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome stuff, Charlie. This is what you need to hang out at the end of our podcast for.
And then this is the best one. You may recognize.
Now listen, this happened 2 Saturdays ago. I Palm Beach Fort Lauderdale friendly that I was refereeing, and one of the Lauderdale players decided it was a good idea to run into me, and I ended up on the ground. As you can see, I'm smiling. And everybody had a good laugh about it. And I did blow the whistle while I was sitting on my ass because things were trying to get going when I wasn't clearly ready to get up. I'm faster than I look when I'm on my feet, but once I go down, it's not going to be very quick to get back up, Charlie. So I appreciate whoever found those photos today. I'm glad somebody caught it on camera in some regards. But a jam-packed episode 20, Charlie.
Oh, my God.
And more fun for next week. Again, if you'd like to donate to the cause, you can see at the bottom there, TFRO, rugbyfl.com/GoFundMe or Venmo @rugbyfl. Any amount is graciously appreciated just to help cover the costs and obviously help with the time that's put into this podcast. I think, again, Charlie puts in a lot more work than I do. I literally came from soccer practice, put the headset on, the mic on. We had talked during the week, but it was a very, late job by me.
We're going to have to figure out a way to go over more things in less time.
An hour and a half is where I like to cap it. I think an hour and a quarter would be perfect. But we managed to jam in a lot today. I think that's good stuff.
We always want to cover everybody, so it would be nice to cover some of the ladies' game. Even, U16s. There were some people complaining that we're not talking about U16s. You know who the main complainer is. Don't mention him, but you know who he is, right?
Listen, U16. I know not every club has a U16 team this year, and it's obviously a key part of the development of Florida rugby. If we see, do we have video of that, Charlie, or not?
Yeah, let's show a little bit of the video from U16s.
We did have some U16 highlights. I know we only have a few U16 teams this year due to the COVID situation. Numbers across the board are now copy. Apparently got things going at the U16 level this year. They demolished Key Biscayne, as Coach Sebastian said.
Look at these kickers.
that's better than most men's kickers I've seen out there. Man. This kid's playing with the. I hope they're the IRB approved. Sorry, World Rugby approved goggles on.
Nobody cares. Nobody really cares. Nobody cares. Let the kid play.
I have to say, as a referee, I have to say we care.
Well, screw you. Nobody cares. But these kids, as I was telling Sebastian earlier, these games, this one particular between Key Biscayne and Western, they these kids, they can kick, they can pass, they can improvise, they chip, they do grubbers, it's pretty amazing.
That's
And
great credit. Great credit to
some-
the coaching staff that put the time in with these kids.
they can, it's really fun to watch. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, if you have a U16 game in your area, get out there and watch the future of Florida rugby.
And typically, the discipline is very good. You don't see nasty stuff. It's really a joy.
I'll have to get out there and try and ref some U16 stuff this season. Once my son's soccer season is over.
You're gonna be
That's a big boy for U16s right there.
Yep. You have to get fit because these guys run a lot. As you can see, the referee is never in the frame. He's always running behind.
I'm not going to comment on that, Charlie.
You never see the referee. He shows up later. Okay.
Listen, I'll give Grant credit. He refereed both games down there.
That is true. Under the rain
this weekend, so in brutal conditions. So credit to Grant Haynes for coming out there and helping the boys out.
Yeah, that was
I know there's a lot of points scored in this game. It appears.
Oh, it was like 60 or 80 points. This is the try that Biscayne did. Oh no, that one no. They did score one try, which is always nice when you lose for a lot.
And there you see the rain coming down.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It makes for awesome videos. So for the complainer out there that we don't talk about U16, here you go. I'll shut the.
Listen, again, we're always willing to talk about anybody that sends in clips. So if you send in videos, send in photos, even if you take it with your phone, just upload it right there to rugbyfl.com/upload, and we guarantee we'll show it.
No, we don't.
As long as it doesn't involve a streaker. Like they had at the Super Bowl last night. That's a nice kick there from the left sideline. Lots of Okapi points here.
Yeah, that was a nice game.
I think we've seen it. I think we've seen enough.
Yes, this never ends. It's so many points.
Points and more points. Well, Charlie, as always, appreciate the hard work going to this podcast.
Okay, I just want to say hi to Valentina, my daughter. She always watches. She's my biggest fan, and she enjoys. I always have her picture right here.
I see it right there. Yes, right behind over your right ear as you're looking at it. You're actually your left ear.
In every single podcast, she was always on the screen somewhere. Always
supporting her dad. I still support my dad when it comes to rugby, and I'm glad Valentina likes to tune into the podcast and check us out. I apologize for
She has fun.
My poor effort tonight. I came in a little late, but we got it done.
We got it done, and there's always next week.
So we'll see you next Monday night for the next episode of Talking Florida Rugby Occasionally. Charlie, again, thanks for all your effort, and thanks for everybody that joined us this evening. Kenny Handley, Mike Gomez, the Key Biscayne Rats guys. And obviously Ryan Forston from SoFlo RFC. We appreciate you joining us. Check them out on socials and on the web, wherever you can find them. Get out there and let's keep this rugby season going, hopefully as much as we can. Cheers, Thor, for checking us out as always. Pass the word on. If you have teammates and clubmates that aren't watching, tell them to check us out every Monday night. Thor
has always been a big fan. I'm surprised he's not on our country, on our donor list yet, but he'll get there. I know he'll get there.
He's a good friend of the pod. He's a G for sure.
Great guy. Okay.
Cheers, boys. Cheers, Kenny. See you guys next week.
Okay, now we go. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Ross. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Charlie.